We're live.
Yes, okay. We're live. Woo.
Wow, your hair looks good, by the way.
Thank you. I just got it cut, blown out, so that's why it's straight.
It's so long. Like, it's literally so long.
I know. This is the longest it's been in a decade. Longer.
So freaking long. That's amazing. Well, I'm feeling excited about this. I was just looking at a bunch of things about parasites and a bunch of crap, so I'm really pumped about this. So
okay, well,
you start because it's your video. You lead.
Yes. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about how to deal with high conflict, chaotic exes, especially when you have to still interact with them because you have kids together. So obviously, if it threw you off that she was talking about parasites, we're going to get into how those are related.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. That was just
that's okay. Because I think the reason why I asked Chelsea to join us is because she talks about the way she deals with her ex is just a way that I had never heard before. And even though my ex does not have a mental illness. He is not high conflict. He has not high chaos. So, but I do have a lot of clients and friends who do have that. And the stuff that they go through is pretty amazing. And the way that Chelsea responds to it kind of blew my mind. It was just like information and like a way of approaching it that I had never heard before. And I thought it would just be super useful to a lot of people to like help shift them into, in a sense, a different posture, because you can't control what they're going to do. You like, to the extent that you had any control at all ever, it's even less now. And there's new dynamics because sometimes they'll abuse the kids, or they'll use the kids as a proxy to abuse you. And it's just kind of a lot of stuff going on. We got a superstorm coming in here right now.
We do too. So this should be really interesting. That's going to be so fun. Yeah, like I actually just dealt with, during my coffee enema, a scenario with my ex. So love that.
I mean, giving you fresh.
So I'm like,
fresh info,
fresh content. Although honestly, like here's the deal, especially with like my ex, and at some point the Lord's going to deliver one of these podcasts to his door. So I don't really hold back a ton anymore, especially because my kids have gotten older. But one of the things that I used to do is I'm really protective of my kids' story and experience in it. So we have 50-50 custody. So there is some interesting, so I grew up in a household with a narcissistic mother who was bipolar, narcissistic, and probably had like a fractured soul, where a lot of people would call that schizophrenia. But now I understand that to be like a fractured soul. Like trauma happens. And so you develop like the need to like carry another persona. So for some people that manifests really crazy, like your personalities are insane. But for her, she got really good at like mimicking, like she would try on different versions of being a mom. Like that was her thing. Like she would try on different versions of a person. So like she was like a teacher, but she would be like, cheer coach mom, or like, this mom, or like fun mom, or farmer mom. Like she was like always a different person. So what was interesting is like, as a kid, I always thought life was really exciting. And because I believe in the duality of everything, it wasn't until I was like 27, 28 years old where people started to say to me like, that wasn't fucking normal. I was like, what do you mean that wasn't normal? Like it was like so fun. And then honestly, in the church wanted to like really drive this like orphan spirit. You've been traumatized, like in therapy and stuff. And so I feel like I'm all crooked because I have like a migraine right now. But like, so coming out of that was just like really interesting because I like adopted that for a while. And then, in my practice, I got this whole concept of like God's working everything for your good. And like, why are you trying to like constantly shit on your story, right? Because it like was your story and there was good things. And so what was interesting is like, I always thought it was like exciting. That was like, so it kind of gave me this perspective, like, yes, there was dysfunction, but I didn't necessarily read that. So then I'm like, okay, my kids might not necessarily read that with my ex, right? Like, are we making them too grown up by just the mindset that some women have where it's like expose, 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 or
Mm-hmm.
take away from your ex or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
like the bitter, resentful, liver rage chick. Like, I mean, I see that. I was that. So I get it. But like, you'll just stay in conflict like that. So, anywho, I have like developed, such a, we can get into so many scenarios, but such a different way of approaching it. Like, when I first started, the overall concept was opt out of one fight at a time. And a lot of people would believe like, oh, you have to fight for your kids. Like, you have to be there. Like, if I don't, fight and my kids say you never fought for me, like, what about that? But then what was interesting is like Jesus fights for us, like God fights for us, like not like we can't do that out of all of our own energy. So when people are like, oh, what is this? But it really was just taking the personal responsibility and then realizing that I am not God and I cannot handle it all, and that there is a universal energy and a supernatural power that if you align with it, you have like protection, like the truth comes out. Like, there's so much that happens in that. So, I mean, you tell me what you want to know, or I'll just talk.
Well, I'll say a couple of things because I think we have some people who are like newer followers to me, to you, and so they don't. Let me just catch them up a little bit. Is that Chelsea and I, in our experience, we're both practitioners. We have very similar businesses. We use the same bioresonance feedback device, and we have come to the understanding that things are always happening for us energetically and physically. So when she's talking about liver anger, that goes back to traditional Chinese medicine, where the liver is the organ that holds your anger. And when it's kind of in its, well, just when you have anger, it's the liver that's affected by it. And so you can cleanse the liver through a forgiveness process, which will physically also cleanse the liver, even though you are emotionally doing it. And then you also can support the liver and have emotional, spiritual, energetic shifts by cleansing the liver with, say, coffee enemas. And so that kind of similarly with like the parasites can be an energetic tie to another person's spirit when they want you or need you to be a certain thing, a certain way for them. So that can come into doctors and nurses who need you to be sick so that they can be like feeding their own, whatever is driving them to be these caretakers. It can be with a partner. It can be with a child that like an ex-partner that needs you to be the bad guy, and they'll like make up all kinds of literally ridiculous nonsense, but that you also have a buy-in to that sometimes. And so what I want to really kind of go into is like, how do you step out of that buy-in and that agreement so that, you're not arguing anymore. Like I was talking to one woman, and some of the people in her life had said that she went on a vacation she didn't take. And like they were, I mean, obviously it was just like an argument about punishing her for taking a vacation, which is ridiculous anyway. But, of course she was when you get like these kinds of surprises, it's easy to go into the place where it's like, no, I didn't take this trip, blah, blah, blah. And from a different stance, like a little farther out, you could be like, oh my gosh, I don't remember that. Did I have fun? Like, do you have any pictures of me there? Because I really want to know how much fun I had in California or whatever it is.
For real. General comedy.
Yeah, it's totally like see it for the comedy that because it gets so preposterous. And that you can almost use that to kind of like abuse proof your kids. Like, because they'll try to make up sometimes a story like, oh, you're not taking care of them in certain ways. And then just literally pointing to the evidence that's for your kids, the evidence that's not true. Like, oh no, we have tons of food in the fridge. I couldn't even put my creamer in, today. Like it just, so actually I had a couple of notes.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead and
I mean, the key word there is like focus on your kids, right? Like that's the key word. Like when I was trying to heal from stuff and got like engaged with a therapist, the thing that started to set me free first was I used to be like, I just don't understand. I just don't understand. I just want to understand what my ex or my mom, like what every high conflict narcissist, and I do not use that word lightly, like for real, was like doing in my life. And they would be like one therapist out of probably the 7 that I had consulted with and seen, because we had child therapists, we had psychologists, we had guardian ad litems, we had probably 7 different people involved with our divorce and just story. In the real height of it, which according to German medicine is usually like the epi crisis, right? It's usually when all the shit's like the worst it's going to be. And so like I am like so getting interested in like German new medicine in real life too now, like not just in the body, because I'm like your life mirrors that. So like it was like interesting. So when we were very close to the healing, an opportunity presented itself where this therapist said to me, like, stop trying to understand, stop being codependent, and start learning how to cope. And that literally set me free. Like, I was like, oh, like, I know, like, I can just now decide, okay, this person hates me. This person doesn't give a shit about me. And this person doesn't give a shit about our kids. And I'm going to be the one that gives a shit about our kids. And I say that in like a way of, some people want to like people please around that and be like, oh, but here they're good. It's like, okay, true. I'm not discounting the duality, but what I'm saying is that in regards to myself, who's the person that needed the healing, that was all the reality, right? So like, I mean, and I mean, I have been through the gamut. You often don't even realize until later. Like I didn't even realize until about 2 years ago that my ex, I don't even know that he cognitively realizes it, but he set up like even an ecosystem that I wasn't a part of so that he could lie. Like, so what was interesting is like, he like got our school district controlled. Then he joined a Lutheran church. Then he got our kids in Lutheran school. He did this ecosystem build. He became like a board member. Like he had a carefully crafted ecosystem that he could lie in about me that I was not in. So I wasn't in that. Like I wasn't Lutheran. I wasn't a part of the school. I wasn't a part of the decision. So the one, like this big healing happened even for me, like even just a couple years ago after COVID, like, because I was like, I have been still sitting here acting like a fucking outsider in this ecosystem for so many years while my kids did not thrive in it. When what I should have done is, yeah, bitches, like, I don't care, you know, like it was like one of those things where it's like always unraveling, right? Like I literally realized I like downloaded. I'm like, oh my gosh, what if one reason why my kids struggle so bad in this environment is because of me? Like, what if I do have a role? Like, what if every time they come home with homework, I'm just like, well, I hate that school, so I get it. Like, yeah, you don't need to be there. Like, I was just like teaching them that, like, just to further that conflict. So even that conflict was like a problem. So it's like, I don't think people realize this level of males do it too, of victim playing that will not help you. Like victim playing will not help you. Like your ex can be abusing your kid. Your ex can be throwing you through court. Your ex can be calling DFS. Like all that stuff I've been through. Playing the victim still doesn't work. And the hardest part about the whole thing, the craziest part about the whole thing is usually there's some truth about you. There's some, you know, the Christians will call it like an open door. Like, I don't believe in that crime and punishment system, but usually there's some truth about you that you do need to see. Like when my ex came in and like accused me of child abuse, I'm like, there is actually some rage that I could look at and face, right? Like I was not abusing my kids, but I'm just saying like there's always some personal responsibility that you can take. So, you know, when he was like, oh, you're late every day for school. Like, that's true. So, you know, like, but, you know.
Yeah. There's so much power in being willing to wear what Kelly Brogan calls the, what does she call it? The villain crown. Like, yeah. I mean, for your kids, like when you get kids to a teen age and like, you're like a lot of teenagers will go through a phase where they need one or both of their parents to be the bad guy as they're growing through like kind of this developmental process. And the more you try to be like, no, I'm not, no, I'm not, no, I'm not, no, I'm not, it doesn't convince them of anything. But when you're ready to be like, oh yeah, I'll wear this crown because I set a boundary for you. Oh yeah, I'll wear this crown because we are being safe. Oh yeah, I'll wear this crown because I'm in a cranky mood today and I don't feel like dealing with your shit. Oh yeah, I'll wear this crown today because you're in a cranky mood and you need somebody to like rage on, and like I still love you anyway. Like that's incredible, because then again, you're not doing this fight and this push role. You're just like, okay, I'll consider it, I'll allow it, and like I'll heal and grow from it. Because I mean, you were in a deep relationship with that person for assumingly, a long time. They know you really well. And yeah, there may be some bits occasionally of truth to what they're saying, and you can grow from that and like take it as a gift, even though it's meant to be a slander, meant to be a dark.
Like I have a theory. It's not backed up by anything psychology termed, but this theory, like, okay, we all know like honesty is the best policy, right? So I've always told myself, I'm like, okay, usually your high conflict ex is gonna lie. They're gonna be liars. Like high conflict people lie because that's what they do. And then they get really ragey, really not even at you, but at themselves, because you're for whatever reason not participating in their homeostasis. If you're not, you know what I'm saying? Like you're not fitting into it. Like we used to joke around, like when I left my ex, like his friends, he found a girl very similar to me, and his friends would be like, she's basically you, but Lutheran Barbie. I'm like, exactly. Like I couldn't fit into that part of the world. You know what I mean? So it was like so interesting. But like also age appropriate exposure. Like, so what's interesting is high conflict people, they want control. They want to control the narrative. Like, and so one thing I learned about myself as someone who also loved control was like, okay, like what if I just like took a back seat and let exposures happen, and then like I was there to like shepherd what came of that. Now that was also the harder position to take, because a lot of times my kids were like thinking I was terrible or calling me broke whore or whatever. Like there was a lot going on. And so it was like, and still to this day has been a crazy challenge. But like, like my ex told my kids about me cheating, like when they were 10, like that was wildly inappropriate. Like there were things that had happened, and like my friends were like, oh my God, how'd you deal with that? Like I would have been like, well, I'll tell you about that when you're older. I'm like, no, I straight just sat them down and told them like the whole truth. I was like, listen, if it like age appropriate, I was like, if we could have gotten along, we would still be married. Like both of us are in happy marriages. So I used to like try to point out the good for my kids. Like I'd be like, I don't know why, he wanted to say that, like, while he's happily married right now to his wife. Like I'm happy, he's happy. Like I don't see the problem. You know what I mean? Like, was it wrong to, step out of a marriage? Yeah. I also didn't say his part. I did not expose his part to my kids. Like I didn't do the revenge thing where I'm like, well, let me just tell you what he did, blah, blah, blah. Like, which I see a lot of women go to that as a counter defense mechanism. So, and then now my kids are like getting older, so they're getting more perspective, and they're like seeing it like for themselves. Like, and the reason I didn't is because ultimately that's their dad. I didn't ever want to be the parent that had put an image of their dad together for them. I wanted them to see who that person is, all of their own doing. So talk about like intense forgiveness work to get to that place. But it's like, you don't even keep doing the work. I mean, women will be like, I'm trying to forgive. I'm like, it's a choice. It's a personal choice, and you can make it today. Like there's no like therapy timeline. Like, I don't believe in that anymore. Like, it's a straight up choice. Like you just decide, like, am I going to be shitty or am I not? You know what I mean? And so that was one of the other big things too, that like really helped us. Well, helped me with my kids. Now we can get into helping with the person.
Well, before we go on to that, let's just talk a little bit about this curating the image, because I see sometimes women taking care of the ex in order to curate the image that he is something he isn't, in a good way for their kids, because it'd be disappointing for them that their dad didn't show up, when the reality was that he didn't sign up and get right. Like I always just, remind women, like, he is a grown man. Even if he's not acting like a grown man, he like do your part. Like, don't withhold information. Make sure he has the access once to whatever he needs to be the good dad, like the signups for school or whatever. And if he doesn't do it, don't remind him. Don't like make sure to fill that gap so that he doesn't miss a event. Don't like, the kids will have to see, and like, yeah, it's going to be a little bit hard for them to be disappointed, but he's either going to step up in that moment or not when he finds out that you're not taking care of him anymore. But it takes so much off of your plate. It takes so much control off of your plate where you don't have to think about or worry about him. It's like, oh yeah, he didn't show up, but I'm here. Like and I love how you're not going into the like making a story for them about it. Just be like, oh yeah, I don't know why.
No, like you're exactly right in that. Like that's what's so interesting too is in this, it's like I just like radical truth. Like if I could tell women or men one thing, because I'm gonna say there's women like of the two of us, of me and my ex, he's way more inclined to have a calendar, a flipping schedule. He's way more type A than me. So when it comes to dropping the ball, I'm actually the one that drops the balls and don't care. Like so I'm just like I'm just like it's that kind of radical ownership. Like I'm like, I just don't give a shit about the schools. So like, okay, like I'm just the type of person that's like, if there's something more fun in the schedule, I'll put it on there. I'm not basing my life around every sporting event, or I don't have to be busy 24/7. So let's just say that's just not my personality.
Well, that's actually kind of cool
you're
because
so right. One, you just got to keep in mind, like, right, Maura, like, no, go. We might have had a delay. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to say, well, that's kind of cool. That mentality is really cool because it keeps you out of this being controlled by controlling your image. Like, oh, I have to be the mom that shows up for everything that somebody else signed them up for and committed them to. And like, no, I'm not doing. I love that you've given yourself permission to not do that and just.
Oh my God, we played that game. Okay, y'all, I sat out of a whole year of preschool. Okay, like I'm a badass when it comes to boundaries. Like my ex got the school district and he wanted to choose the school. And I was a stay-at-home mom. And I'm like, okay, you can pay the tuition and I'm just not going to show up on my days. And he's like, what are we going to tell the school? I was like, you're going to tell the school you want the preschool. And I'm going to tell them I'm a stay-at-home mom. Like we had two different houses. Like, and he was like, you're so fucked up. Like literally he was like, you're so fucked up. And I was like, here's the deal. Like, I'm like, here is the reality. This is what I put to him over the years. He doesn't come from a divorce home. I did, which is okay. Like either way is fine. But there's a reality and there's a non-reality. And so the reality became for my kids and myself and him and everybody else. We now have two homes. Okay. Like we have two different lives. Like, I think that's where people get messed up is they think to co-parent or to share kids, you need to just like enmesh your lives, right? Like, no, like, let me tell you, if you want to kill your chances at another partner or your sex life, enmesh your lives with your ex, like literally, like, because nobody likes that. Would hate that if I was married. I don't want to be married to two people. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, no, like if I wanted that, I'd be going doing polygamy or something. But I can't think of anything worse. When you guys think about it like that, you will fully just detach yourself. You know what I mean? Like that was me. I was like, I would tell him, I'm like, this is the reality. I get it that the homeostasis is supposed to be like, we all agree. Like I understand that. But when you can't agree and you have a 50-50 agreement, and there's nuance here. Like if you're getting taken to court and this and that, like I'm not talking about never conceding. Like I conceded to the schools. I conceded to that. Like as we went along through the journey out of preschool and had to have, when school became legal, like we're not talking about when school is legal at the age of 6. We're talking about prior. But I'm just trying to paint a picture of boundaries, like boundaries and realities. Like women, you either detach from your ex or you stay married to him. That's the reality. Or men too, you either detach from your lady love or you're still married. So like you got to decide. Like it's so miserable.
I mean, a peaceful home, a peaceful like dynamic is so much more possible when you're not dealing with somebody who has mental illness. And probably if your person is like bringing that much chaos and like high conflict, and just if you suspect that they might have a diagnosis, they probably have some level of mental illness, and you're never going to win cooperating. You're never going to really get him to be the civil partner that you are hoping for. And so just keeping that front of mind, like, this is a person with a mental illness. This is a person with a mental illness. And I'll remind people of that all the time. This is a person with a mental illness. So you're never going to understand if you are the one who does not have the mental illness. It's not going to make sense. Don't try to put yourself under understanding what he's doing, because it has so little to do with you. It's actually directed at you, but you just kind of happen to step in the line of fire. But it really has more to do with what happened long before he met you, what's going on in his brain. They may have like literal demons attached to him and entities that are like making him do all of these. Yes. And so when you are attaching and trying to connect your self-worth to the way that that person is treating you, you're going to lose every single time. But when you say
every time
has nothing to do with me,
and you're going to be playing the victim, you're literally victimizing yourself on purpose. Like, you're going back for more to get abused, because victims and narcissists are the same thing. So it's like, you're literally just being like in that dynamic, which that was like, for me, I'm like, do I want to be a victim, or do I just want to like go and live my life and face the reality that I got divorced and just move on? You know what I mean? Like, for real, move on. And like, it's interesting. You cannot see the light in the tunnel at first, but let me tell you, some people with divorced kids, or I'm sorry, adult kids that get divorced, I'm always like, what are you waiting on? Like, you're free. Like, carry on. Like, I feel like those women need to like just kick their own asses and move on. You know what I mean? Like, but when you're divorced with little kids, which of mine were toddlers, they were like 2 and 4, it felt like forever. And now that my kids are like 13 and 17 almost, you're like, my God, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Like, oh my God, like, we don't have to deal with this except for like another like 5 years, you know? It's like, I will just love showing up and seeing you. And the other thing is, like, I feel like some people resist the healing for way too long. Like, it's like, do the healing, like, do it sooner, because you're not going to, like, if you've attached your biofield to someone, you're not going to unattach. Like, we just saw my ex's entire family at a dance competition in St. Louis. The entire family. I probably haven't seen them in like 12 years. But it was such an amazing, easy experience. Do you know what I mean? Like, whereas some people would be like, oh, this is so bad. Like, it was like, hey, what's up? Like, because all of us are like working in like realities. Like, I'm like, you know, I mean, I'm not saying we all went to lunch together, but I'm saying there wasn't, people were like I've actually had friends be like, was that weird? I'm like, no, I have sex with my current husband. I don't give a shit about my old one. Like, I'm not attached to like anything. You know what I mean? I'm like, no, I was like so pumped for his niece that dances same age as my daughters. Like, my needs would have to be weird, not them to have that be weird, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's weird.
So, but I don't know if you want to go into this part about, like, I know that there's been a little bit of like kids staying at one home versus the other. I know,
I'm into all of it. Anything is free game for you.
Okay, Maura. I didn't know that was too much of their story, but like, I mean, it's a common tactic. But and so I just wanted you to share a little bit about how you do, because you've had it twice. One with one household and the other one with the other household, and like, just speak on that a little bit, because there's a lot of people who are going through it or going to be going through it, and I think your words would be so helpful.
Well, it's still opt out of one fight at a time, right? Like, the thing that I realized about my kids, so my kids have done both ends of that. They've left my home and gone to stay with my ex for extended period of time, and they've left his home and come to stay with me for an extended period of time. So what I have realized is that both of us have our shit. Both of us have to acknowledge how they feel in their divorce lives. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And sometimes you think you've got a good handle on it, but like, they are still have questions, you know what I mean? Especially as they grow up. So what's been really interesting is, so for me, there was a lot of parental alienation, control narratives, like so much, like, I mean, my kids sometimes won't even drink water when I tell them to. Like, they truly believe that they weren't fed. Like, they believe that they weren't clothed. Like, it was a lot. And so, like, and now that they're older, I share about it, but when they were younger, it was kind of like, well, they didn't really have a choice or a voice, and they had to go like 50% of the time. So I was really, really in a cocoon about that, which I also think is like a smart move, because what people don't realize is if you're dealing with a high conflict individual, they don't want exposure. They're a broken person who's hurting that doesn't want to be seen, that is like really seriously stressed out. And so I never wanted my kids to be in a situation as much as I could control with like being punished or being whatever. Like, and you know, just in general, like even like withholding love. I'm not talking about violence. I know some people have the violent side. I didn't have that as far as physical, but emotional, yes. But like, you know, then we have like stepmom in the mix who is like, you know, really like to keep her life together has to be in the homeostasis. I think that's what people don't realize. You have to step back and take like 30,000 foot overview and be like, okay, if you want to be in a relationship with someone, like think about a friendship, you have to be in it, like with how that person is. Do you know what I mean? Or else the thing that happens is there's a natural endpoint, right? Like more, if I were me and you were friends and you were like a liar and you continued to lie, like there would probably be a natural endpoint. But if you want to stay because someone's paying all your bills, or you've got a sweet setup, or you're insecure that you can't live by yourself, and I'm talking about just men and women, I'm not talking about each one or the other, I'm just saying in general, then you will participate at all costs to stay. So you usually don't get just like one high conflict individual. You usually get like 2 or 3 or 10, you know what I mean? Like whole families that are like into it. So that was like our scenario. And I just like, I didn't like try to bridge any gaps. Like I was like, if I'm the one that's fine, I'm not going to bridge any gaps. Like, I mean, and I'm mad at you guys. There's some mistakes I would have liked to take back. Like when my kids were when my kids were 3 and 4, we all used to go to soccer games together. And I will never forget this. My ex put his new wife down as mom at the school I didn't choose. And it hurt my soul. Like it was kind of the first thing. And I was like, oh, wow. And I like said to her in front of a lot of people at a soccer game, like, you know, this kid's came out of my vagina, right? Like I would love to take that back. Like, well, what, you know, like that was when I was a little bit more hood, but
yeah.
But what were you going to say about, did you want to say something about that? Because I'm getting there to our home thing.
Oh, go ahead. Keep going then.
Yeah. So like, basically like we had a scenario where my kids were very distorted about their living situation. Like they were actually insecure about my house. Like, so they were actually like, we don't know if you provide for us, because what would happen would be I would make mac and cheese and they didn't like it. And then when they go back, they would get drilled with questions. And then my ex would be like, instead of being like, oh, cool, you had mac and cheese for dinner, they would be like, oh, I'm so sorry, your mom doesn't feed you what you like. And that started when they were toddlers. And so it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then those lies and lies and lies happened. And then my kids would have these humongous meltdowns with us. Like, and they know that. Like it would be like, guys, like you have a stomach bug, like take this and that. And they would be like, no. Now there was like goodness and all that, but it's also been a freaking challenge. Like it was a challenge with school, trying to get them to go to school. But anyway, so when they officially like wanted to try out another house dynamic, like it was kind of like one of those things where I feel like kids are always trying to figure out what's true, always, about their parents. The difference is when you have two parents that live in the same household, or you have a one parent household where the other one's not involved, there's only one option. There's not two. Like you don't have a way out. I can remember that in high school. My mom was a narcissist. My dad didn't want me. We didn't have a connection. And I thought, well, I better participate because there's no fucking way out of here until I'm 18. You know what I mean? When you have a 2-person household, there is often a way out. Like so for my kids, that way out on both sides, 2 households. Yeah. So every couple of days there would be a new way out. Do you know what I mean? So every couple of days there would be a new way out. Well, I, again, opting out of one fight at a time, allowed my ex to really flesh out parenting and me. And when my daughter was really struggling with school and really trying to figure out both of our dynamics, like how she could get stuff from me and get stuff from her dad and really try to figure out how to exist. I can't tell you how many times people tried to suck me into that. Like she's just being a little shit. She's just a divorced kid. She's just damaged. I'm like,
Other
Jesus,
people?
show me how to love these people unconditionally. But other people, so many other people would just, you know how people like boomers, how they're all about that like punishment, you're born broken whole thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they would try to set me into that. I don't personally believe that. I think people are always trying to figure out the truth. And if they're acting out or acting negative, they're trying to come back to themselves. That's what I believe. So, I mean, I should probably preface that by saying I'm an autoimmune coach and practitioner. And what I believe is that when you have an autoimmune response, you're actually trying to find your truest self. So in the interest of German New Medicine, you're not attacking yourself, you're finding yourself. So I think the same thing about my teenagers, right? So my teenagers were like fleshing this out. So, but I did have to like forgive them because it broke my soul. Like so much to where after my pacemaker surgery, I started having like heart palpitations and like crazy stuff with my heart, like physical stuff. So my daughter wasn't here during that surgery. She wasn't here all summer. She moved out. But we initially, when she said, I'm going back to my dad, kind of like put my hands on her and been like, you're not going back to your school because you're making my life like a living hell about your school, because she didn't want to be at her school. And so anyway, the whole thing that happened, I didn't like hit her. I just like literally took her and was like, you can't make me late anymore for my job kind of thing. And she was like, you're ragey. I don't want anything to do with it. Like, I'm going to go to dad's and I'll call you never. And I was like, okay, well, fine. So she ended up staying there for like 2 weeks. And me and my husband were like, well, maybe we should like lawyer up and get back in this custody agreement. You know what I mean? Like we were like, maybe we should, because we were so annoyed by the whole thing. And like everybody was like loving arms, like it was summer. So everybody was like playing at lake houses and going on vacations over there. And so it was like really fun. And then, I mean, my husband's more of a peacemaker than me, but he was right. He is like, well, we really do have two choices, though. We could just forget like if we're anti the government stepping in and they're doing that to us, which they were accusing us of child abuse and calling child services. He's like, you can't fight fire with fire. Like you can't war culture into peace. And I was like, yeah, that's so true. And so he was like, what if you just texted and come back? And like, it was so counterintuitive, but it was amazing because she spent an extended amount of time seeing lots of dysfunction over there. So it was like amazing. Lots came out, lots happened. She got like, there was a lot of exposure, like, and then, you know, eventually it was like, well, I'm coming back to your house.
Yeah.
Well, flip side, a year later, my son decided to come to my house, and they, you know, really didn't have a leg to stand on. They couldn't revenge us because we didn't go to court. Like they couldn't argue that like the parenting plan was broken, because last summer, like we had like a peaceful existence, right? And it actually opened up, like, it isn't perfect, but it was like, okay, like what can you do? You know, at first it was like, what can you do? Like the kids are figuring it out. So it's opened up like another layer of a problem solving, and not that we've done it. So then it also presented good exercises and boundaries. Like I wanted to, for the first time in 12 years, take my ex to lunch because I realized that everything gets distorted over text messages. And he was like, no, I want to do text messages. So like, you know, everything that you go through that you don't allow, I guess I'll say entities to intervene, like a court system or a government or even a religion, like I'll go there too. Like that you just, of your sound mind, keep everything with you and just figure it out. There's always like this download there. Like there's always this like something you need in it. That's what people don't realize. Like it was painful to not have my daughter here, but really it was the control that I needed to work on. Like it was like, it was super painful, but it was also like, well, like, do I even spend time with her while she's here? What are her arguments? Like, it gave me the chance to like look at us too, even though we were for the most part fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I remember,
and so
because
anyway,
we were friends during that time, and I think I remember you saying something along the lines of like, he's got this mental illness. He can only hold it together for so long.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to collapse in one way or another. And people have to remember that. And I love that she got to see things for her own self, because even if you were telling her, even if you were trying to juxtaposition like our home just through modeling versus that home, like just being like, there's no substitute for seeing things and understanding things with your own eyes. And I think as kids kind of go through these adolescent teen years, they really are figuring out, like, even in a home where the two parents are together, about 11, 12, they start questioning everything. That's like when they start being like, you're such an idiot. Like, mom and dad, you don't know anything, because they've got like this part of their brain that just came online. And then in this context of having one person who is
the dynamic, the game changer. Jones, you're with your dad. The absolute game changer for us was usually a high conflict individual sets up the scenario that they're perfect, right? So when somebody's trying to make someone else look bad or make someone else look bad or whatever, there's always this better than narrative, or they're setting up that they're absolutely perfect. But when my daughter was there for an extended period of time, she realized, oh, hey, like, they fight too. Like, they're not perfect. Like, it's really easy 50% of the time to play perfect. Like, it's real easy. And it's really easy to do your shit when they're not there.
So hold it together for 2 to 5 days. And then lose it when they're gone.
Together, and we'll fight on the other days. I am not accusing them, but like it's a whole different ballgame when you've got somebody 100% of the time, which is so funny. And then there was other perceptions too. So flip side, when there used to be this narrative that we treated our kids together, because we have a blended house, so me and my husband now have 4 kids together, that we treated our kids better than them. And that was one of the narratives that stuck forever. Like, I was like, we're never getting out of this, you know? And the craziest part about it was that once someone was here for an extended time, that narrative completely, I'm like, see, we're cussing them out too. Like, well, no, we're definitely not into her.
This is equal opportunity.
Like, I'm like, they're all getting the same treatment, right? Like, it was like so hilarious, but that is no. No. Mm-mm. I'm gonna have to lock my office door.
Hang on a second, I gotta get my charger.
But I'm like, okay, that's not gonna work, baby love.
All right.
That opens again. That's gonna be bad. But I mean, yeah, I think the biggest thing that is the fighting part. Like, listen, I never cared to pretend that we were perfect or to guess what was going on in my ex's house, because I would tell my kids, I'm like, I don't actually know. We're not friends. I have no idea. Like, I'm like, I don't know. So they were the only people that had their experiences, versus I think a lot of people get sucked into that like accused defense position. So what was interesting is like they would always project what they thought was going on in our house. But I would always say to my kids, like, I don't know, like, we're not friends. Like, you're going to have to ask them when you go back. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm like they would come to me and say, like, you know, stuff. And I'm like, well, I'm not there. So at that point, it's gossip. And the other key thing was, I like, it's almost like you just have to counter whatever's happening to you. So there was a lot of questioning on like how me and my husband were, what we fed our kids, like all this stuff. And I never did that. And my daughter eventually and son got to an age where they're like, well, how come you never ask about so-and-so? Or my daughter, tell you what happened between dad's wife. And I'm like, nope. I'm like, no. I'm like, I'm not in their story. Like, I don't actually want to know. Like, it's none of my business. And she would be like, well, I just want to like vent to you. And I'm like, no. Like, I'm like, I don't want to do gossip. Like, and that's hard. You know what I mean? Because
right.
I think a lot of women, I wasn't like this, but there's a lot of women I know that would be, yeah, give me all the good details. Like, you're the problem. You know what I mean? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it was like, I just felt really icky to try to do that because they were always doing it with us. And I feel like that's such a big part of like disconnecting your energies. You just had to be like I didn't care. Like, it's not my, like she would say, oh, you could help her story to tell. That doesn't have anything to do with it. They want you in the story, but you have a choice to not be in the story, right? Yeah. Like, they're always going to want you there, but you're not there. So like, you have to choose. Like, you're either in the story or you're not, you know?
Yeah. Like along the lines of like not attacking the new partner, the new girlfriend that, or, you know, I'm assuming we're talking about men. It goes either way.
Well, yeah, but or needing to know anything about her or him,
yes.
right?
Yes,
like anything.
Exactly.
Like, I'm like, if God orchestrates us being friends, amazing. But until then, it's just gossip, right? Like, yeah. And I didn't want to be the person that does gossip. Like,
right.
It doesn't make you feel good. It just makes you look shitty.
Yes, and the game playing, like, kind of helping people understand that if he's presenting some game playing, he needs a partner to play that game. You find a way to not play the game. You don't get upset. Like, if you're offering something, you don't get upset if he doesn't respond. You don't get upset at his response. Like, if you want to offer to try to, I don't know, I'm trying even to think of an example, but like, if you want to offer an invitation to him to a birthday party or something like that, make sure you're not going to get butthurt when he says no. Make sure you're not going to get hurt when, like, I mean, you know, whatever is going on when he brings his chaos opportunity to that. And so if you know that he will, and you know that you'll be upset by that, just don't offer it.
Right. Or just have your own party. Like, one of the things that I realized with just victimhood is like, you create it, right? Like, so a lot of people will also validate you in it. Like, I will be like, so like, for example, once I decided, okay, I'm a divorced person, but I'm not going to be a victim divorce person. I'm just going to be in reality. Like, I'm a divorced person. I realized, fuck the holiday and caring and being on the, I'm not even trying a part of my victimhood. I'm going to just like realize that it's a celebrated birthday on 8 versus it's like, why that? Do you know what I mean? Like, in that, talking on idols, what it gave to me. And like, that's just one little tiny example. You know what I mean? Like, that's one example. You could stir yourself up about it and ruin your Christmas every single year. I have someone who's constantly wanting something. Well, we don't deviate from our custody agreement, or we didn't until this. And we didn't deviate at all for 10 years. Like, because no one, I mean, my person couldn't follow boundaries. You know what I mean? It was just like, give an inch, take a mile. So we never gave anything. Like, it was like, I see people try to work with high conflict people, and especially narcissists, your kid. I mean, why give it? You know what I mean? Talk about game playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that's just, that's what I realized. I was like, oh, well, if I'm going to be bad either way, I might as well just be.
Yeah. You know, I went through a personal development thing like a long time ago, and I don't even remember everything that was said over the weekend. But the one thing that we did was, it was like an activity that we did. I can't even remember this activity very well, but the lesson I do remember. Yeah. It was like they had split the whole group into 2 different teams. And there was some point that they actually wanted you to get to a place where you were like, hey, we can all play a game that's win-win. Like so many people put themselves in a posture of like, I want to win, so you lose. And in a healthy dynamic, a healthy relationship, a healthy like marriage, any kind of healthy dynamic, even with like coworkers or family members, we're always playing win. Ideally, we're playing win-win. But when you have somebody who's high conflict, they're always playing win-lose. And they're never going to give a win-win situation. So like, have your boundaries. These are the ones that you get, your custody. These are the ones that I get, my custody, and I stick with it. And like, you stand for that.
Yeah. 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 And it also depends on what you believe in. Like, I don't want to raise my kids that, like, I don't want to raise my kids to be victims. I don't want to raise my kids that the government has more authority than me. Like, there's a couple things I'm not into. You know what I mean? So, like, if you're working within a system, you have to be careful to like hold your own sovereignty in the system. Like, I always, thought about that. I mean, when my kids were little, they didn't have as many choices, so we weren't. But I still stand by having super firm boundaries. We set up for our kids the reality that now they have 2 houses and they have this part of their story. And a lot of people are creating confusion in that story. And then they come to me and they have autoimmune disorders all the time because they're like, oh, they have so much chaos about their story and so much hate and so much confusion and so much unforgiveness that they're like chronically ill. And I'm like, that was the one thing that I had to focus on with my kids was like, how do we not be ill after trauma? You know what I mean? So it was like, whatever. And I don't even think it was traumatic anymore. If my kids try to tell me like, well, we're traumatized from divorce, I'm like, that's a choice. I'm like, okay. Like I tell my kids, I'm like, or you had 2 parents who couldn't get along that made a smart choice to go marry other people. And look, they have both lasted like 10 plus years. So whoever wants you to be trauma, that can be over there. Like, cause that was like my ex's thing. He was always calling, I would just counter everything that he did with like this, like God truth. And like, I know that sounds a little bit cheesy, but it was like, there's duality in everything. So I would tell my daughter the other day, I literally told her the other day, she posted on her like TikTok that she was like divorced and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, take that down. Get the fuck out of here with that. I was like, listen, you know better. I was like, you know that your story is fine. Like, I'm like, I get it that the world wants you to be like, oh, I'm a divorced kid and blah, blah, blah. Like, I get it. But I'm like, you also know that both your parents have ended up with people and have 10 plus years of contract together and have kids together with these other people. Like, it has worked out. Do you know what I mean? That we don't get along. Like, it's like amazing. And
right. And the other side is like, well, you could have stayed together.
For whatever reason, she's like, well, her perceptions are, well, it's not amazing here. It's not amazing there because of XYZ. And I'm like, well, I feel like this. Totally. I'm like, we could have been so dysfunctional. And then y'all would have been adults questioning why we were liars. Because the whole reason I see adults after divorce fall apart is their parents, they think their parents are liars. Because they are. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like, staying married for the kids is a lot. Oh, Maura might have cut out because of her. I'm going to give him a part 1.
Oh, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it was like a little delay, but that's okay. I mean, you're having storms, so it's cool.
Like, yeah, well,
even if we got disconnected,
kind of cleared. Might be have another round coming through, but I think this has been like super, super helpful. I think we've covered like a lot of things that people have been telling me about. How long did it take you to kind of get to this place? Like,
I mean, I'm still getting there every day. Like, here's this concept of like, oh my gosh, we're gonna arrive at this place of peace is like, no. Like, it took me 3 years to stop all fighting. So it took me 3 years, but I wouldn't say it has to take people 3 years. It literally is a choice. I was addicted to fighting so much to where I was like, didn't even know my own personality sign according to the real zodiac. So I'm not even actually a fighter. I'm something else. Like, I was like, oh, no wonder I had migraines when I was so fighty because complete misalignment. But my thing is like, you know how I am. I talk about your life as a lived experience. Like you're always hitting another opportunity for layers of healing. That's the shitty thing to understand. And then that's like the most freeing thing to understand at the same time. Like, because I thought we were there with my daughter. I thought we were there with my son. Like I thought we were there multiple times throughout whatever. And we still have no collaboration and no agreement about schools. Like we don't have teamwork. And people say, well, how have you raised kids together and you haven't spoken in 10 years? And I'm like, it's been an absolute joy. Trust me. But it has been interesting. But you think you're there. Like we were peaceful for like 2 years. And then they had a kid and there was some postpartum depression that went on. And then I had DFS at my door, like child services. And then, you never know what's around the corner. You can't live your life like that. Like my thing is like, you got to reframe though. Like, I mean, should we wrap up? When we wrap up, should we give people the tactical advice on like how to heal? I don't want to hijack your call. I want to make sure that this is like what you want this for. But like stuff's going to present to you like the opportunity for the next layer. Like what was really interesting is we figured out like, oh, my heart stuff correlated to abandonment with my son and all this stuff. And so like God presented an opportunity for me to like face that.
Yeah.
And the child abuse accusation, which was like super wild to think about. So it was interesting. Like I didn't abandon him, but his story was that for a while. And so what's really fascinating is like, there was some abandonment, but I'm saying if you would have asked me in the present when all that accusation came out, I would have been like a year ago, I would have been like, no, God, no. We're sitting here showing up every day. Everybody's fine. Like we're ticking along. Like I never would have thought that would have presented itself right then. And ironically, it presented itself the year I was pregnant. I had to have heart surgery. I mean, my God, there's like so much. Like there's always so much going on, which is why in my practice, I teach people, I'm like, if you're looking for like just this life where everything's like epic like that. And I'm disappointed, but when it presents itself like opportunity, I'm still daily working on it, but it has taken me 10 years to figure out more and more of the concept and to posture myself of like little. I was probably through all the victimhood when I hit my chronic illness and when we had a baby together, because birth is just a portal for generational sin to be looked at. Like, so when me and my husband had our first baby together, I tackled a lot with my ex, like a lot where he interfaces with my mom, like so much crap. But there were still places, little hidden places where I was playing into the story, which, as you know, this year has presented themselves. Like, I feel like if there's anything else, who knows what it's going to be, because I feel like the worst has happened, right? Like, finally. It's like DFS shut up my door. We made a choice about schools. And honestly, like, I honestly want you guys to be really in touch with the fact that is developmentally appropriate. Like, people try to heal when your kids are 2 and 4. That's not going to happen. Like, I have a client. I have 3 clients right now who are in narcissistic abuse, who have autoimmune and they want to be set free from victimhood. And I tell them their kids are 3 and 6. And I tell them all the time, I'm like, you ain't going to get it for like 10 plus years. You ain't going to get it till you're out of that contract that you entered into. Okay. So let's just make sure we understand that. So it's like, how do we cope? Right? Like, it's kind of what you're teaching. It's like, how do you cope? How do you not be crying about it? You're not just showing up in your life like this sucks every day, because that'll just steal your
Mhm.
joy in the journey, right? Like I'm like, my journey has presented so much. Like look at us on this podcast. Like look at this $100,000 business that I run. Like I would not have it without this journey. So like I'm grateful for it, you know, but you can't unlock that layer of healing without the layer of embracing. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
what you teach,
Yeah.
where, you know, the parts of your story are okay and journey medicine, like you can't unlock those layers without the other, you know?
Yeah. Well,
So just food for thought.
I love what you're saying, because one thing that I'm taking from it is that it's not like start today, in 3 months you'll be this point, in 6 months you'll be here. It's like, well, actually there's peace available today. Well, the one fight at a time, there's peace available today. And you'll be practicing this forever. You'll be getting better at this for everywhere. And it's a skill that you can apply to anyone. It's like grows you as a
Yes.
person.
Yes, and you're gifting all these women the tool to be able to use. You need you don't want to live your life like you're constantly sick on an SSRI or a supplement because we can't regulate our cortisol because we suck every day. You know what I mean? Or whatever. Like, but you're teaching people a tool where, okay, when this scenario presents itself, here's the toolbox now. You know what I mean? Like when I got DFS at my door 10 years after a divorce with adult almost children, it was shocking. But I had tools. Like I could figure it out. You know what I mean? Like I had a sound mind. I had been taught how to pray. All this stuff had lined up, you know? And so it's like, I'm with you. It's so funny to sell an 8-week program that's based on a lifetime skill is hilarious, because I'm like, well, let's talk about what improvement you've gotten in the 8 weeks, but then let's also remind you that, you know, a year from now, you better still be doing the same thing. And let's not go like guru hop, because the baseline is that you're opting out of chaos, right? Like that'll keep you healthy. So, yeah. I mean, you're not going to stop chaos, right? Like I still do everything in my life that's fun while there's chaos happening. I don't stop my travel. I don't stop my dance. I don't stop all that. Like I'm like a good, and I don't feel guilty. Like I'm like, I'm a good freaking mom. Like, okay, I think you have to like find that within yourself, grow yourself. If you put the focus less on him or her and more on you, which I know most of your people are women, so less on him and more on you, you will then not even give two shits what he's doing. Like you just can't keep focusing on him. I mean, my thing is like, you know, I'm all about that indigestible morsel conflict. So every time I see a text message, I'm just like, oh, instant stomach ache. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't even want to read it. But you have to get to a place where you're like, okay, that's fascinating. You're not defensive. You're not reactive. You're not stressed out. Like you just have to be even about that. And you have to be neutral. Like if somebody wants like the one, I know you're going to teach tools in your program, but if somebody wants the one thing that I use, and you're probably going to teach this too, it's like find that neutrality, find that love without judgment, without anger, without fear. You have to find that neutral thing and being fascinated, amazed. And when you act like that, the other day, like I said to a friend, she read me some text messages that her ex had sent her, and I said, "That's amazing." And she's like, "That's a fucking amazing." Like, what do you mean? I was like, "Listen," I was like, I'm just saying. I was like, I'm just saying your reaction is very stressed, and my reaction would be super fascinated by that. Like I wouldn't let myself go to that level of like whatever. And she's like, how do you do that? And I'm like, forgiveness, like coffee enemas, like just deciding that when you get chaotic, you're adding to it. You're like ramping. It's like throwing gas on a fire, you know?
Right. Well, you know, the opportunity is, because I always tell people that your ex holds your healing codes. So they know you really well. They know you were together, you know, in a very intimate way. And on some level, maybe even on a soul level, they know you really well. So whether they're trying to or not, they're offering you healing opportunities. And you can, you know, get all wrapped up in them and trying to control them, which you can't do anyway. trying to win against them, which you can't do anyway, trying to argue with them or getting them to agree with you, which you can't do anyway. Or
Right.
you can put your eyes on your own paper and be like, why did this bother me? Because chances are, and I have found it with all of my clients literally, is that, it's from something that happened or some idea that you developed before you even met that person. And if we go there and start working with that, then next time he brings that thing, you are literally different. And you're just like, oh my gosh, look at that he sent this dart at me and it just like fell short completely.
Yeah.
So let's wrap up.
Yeah, I'll tell you what Oh, go ahead. Sorry. I was gonna say, I'll tell you what my one thing that I knew that my ex could not only prey on but also heal was I grew up in an environment where I didn't know who I was. So that made me super vulnerable to like getting into that. And then the discovery of who I was and am has made me super.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, absolutely.
It's made me like it. That's what strengthened. It wasn't all the fighting or the cussy paperwork or any of that stuff. It was like now I'm other stuff. You want to get into?
Oh yeah, I wanted to just.
Okay, now I'm having a storm.
I'm not surprised.
We're still on. No, we're still on. We
got we're still on.
It's still going.
Cool.
So I'm like, yes. Okay, cool. We didn't lose that whole thing.
Good. Yes, good. Well, I'm close to kind of where I want to wrap up. I did want to talk briefly on coffee enemas, and then after that, give the maybe like one or two tactical either like goals to hit or mine to reframe. We'll start with coffee enemas.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about coffee enemas? Go for it, friend.
Well, honestly, like when I started doing them, I was just doing them with a physical perspective in mind. Just like the detox, your blood goes through your liver every 3 to 5 minutes, and the coffee and the caffeine helps clean your blood. And like, but I also did notice that I was having mood changes afterwards for the better, to the point that if I had just like random anxiety that I really couldn't put my finger on what was the cause or the source, that I would do a coffee enema and it would calm it down. I don't know exactly why. I have no way to experiment with why, and I don't really even care like why it is. But you were the one who kind of like turned me into recognizing that also, and making the connection between the healing pathways, and that I always talk about opening your detox pathways, and an enema certainly will do that, but also opening up your forgiveness pathways. And I want to just touch on like your perspective about that, and I'll share mine with them privately.
Yeah. So, I mean, me and my husband got into coffee enemas. You're using our coffee, which we love. Thanks, fantastic. By the way. We're really picky about sourcing because he was in farming. We're picky about, we actually don't care about mold, even though our coffee is mold tested. But now that we know about the body, so we source our coffee from the highest point in Papua New Guinea, which makes it the closest to, like, it makes it have higher energy. So that's how it works. Like, so when you go try to pull a plant that's not native into like Colorado in a greenhouse and grow it, the plant naturally loses some energy because its location is frequency. So it's not native. So when my husband and I started Coffee Enema Company, we wanted to source really good coffee. And that was the deal. Like, we wanted to source native coffee. So there's that. But I started Coffee Enemas for one reason alone at first, and that was self-care. So it was, I didn't have any time in my life to even do any healing. So like I kind of like just decided like whatever, I'll try coffee enema. I mean, my naturopath told me I needed like 14 in a row because I was so high strung, and I was like, whatever, that's fine. And I ended up doing like a stretch of them and realizing like, oh my God, like when I'm like alone in my bathroom doing coffee enema, like nobody bothers me and nobody knocks on the door. Fucking bliss, you know? And so I started that. And then I was just so into it. And then I, you know, you go down all the rabbit holes like Herc's reactions and blah, blah, blah. But the biggest thing that I realized was that the biggest thing that happened for me wasn't, oh my God, there's parasites all in the toilet. Oh my God, this and that. And now that I have a bioresonance device, I'm even more convicted about that. But so when I started them like 2.5 years ago, I realized I would have like these revelations. And since I was working with a naturopath who does them all the time, he was like, oh yeah, that's like emotions that are coming up, like based on the anger in the liver. Like the liver is actually the forgiveness pathway and the release pathway in traditional Chinese medicine, along with like the colon and the bowels. But the liver is like our purifier, our supercomputer. So I got into coffee enemas as a baseline because what I realized and what I still believe in and teach my clients is that if you raise your vibration higher and high enough, like, you know, higher the heels, closer to God, like literally all that stuff makes sense. Like if you can get up into like your crown chakras, like raise your vibration, your body will actually do the healing and you will have clearer clarity on the mind renewing. And so obviously we both teach our clients that you have to renew your mind. And so coffee enemas is a tool that I teach my clients to do to renew their minds. I actually don't teach them to do them as like the idol or as like a parasite or whatever. Like I'm like, and then don't even care because whatever the body's going to release, it'll release. And so before I do a coffee enema, I neuroprompt myself. So I'll hold the coffee up to my heart chakra and say like, you know, Jesus, show me what I need to release and make the rest none of my business. That's kind of like my standard prayer. And I say that because I don't want to go dig up it all, right? Like, I just want to know what's relevant for like today. Like, I'm talking about living in the radical present. So that's why that's phrased like that. I didn't open with any kind of intro, but my background is in sales and marketing and advertising for high-level hospital systems. So verbiage is my thing. Like, if I would have wanted to go to law school, I could have been the most amazing trial attorney because words are so important to me. And so it's like you have to have a phrase that's in the present, just like I muscle test in the present. Like I'm so about that. And so with the coffee enema specifically, and I have people who will be like, well, I just, you know, couldn't hold that one today. And I'm like, okay, throw it out, move on to the next day, whatever. Like that was me 2 days ago. It's like, and some people, it's like, oh, 20 minutes, I can hold it. Like, you know, like Maura's saying, the sciencey part of it is every 3 minutes the liver cleanses and filters the blood. And so you're having like cycles of blood cleansing. And then I believe when you go to bed, you process all of that. So it's like if you think about a computer that's open and has all these tabs open, then what happens when you sleep at any given time, whether you take a nap or you sleep all night, which is the goal, is I don't think it's ironic. It's by design that all your restorative functions kick off at 11 p.m. and end at 7 a.m. So like, you know, gallbladder, pancreas, liver, bowels, heart. Okay. So, or sorry, not heart, bowels, lungs. I'm sorry, lungs and bowels. So that's the order. So you guys can look up the 24-hour circadian rhythm clock for traditional Chinese medicine. That's where I'm getting that from.
It's in the Vibrant Way.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So the liver is like, it's the anger and forgiveness. I started calling it the forgiveness pathway because what I see a lot is people will give somebody a tool for finding their anger. And then what do you do with it? You freaking stay angry? Like, oh my God, I can't tell you how much I was like pissed off after doing a coffee enema. And then I realized like, this is the opportunity because I looked at the anger more as like the epicrisis, like in German New Medicine. Like if you're in the anger and you can really feel it, you should be ready to let it go. You know what I mean? So that's where I changed my posture around coffee enemas and where I am now. And so coffee enemas for me, anytime I want to get rid of a headache, do some work, my body's going through a detox, which means you're low resonance, or you're having, you know, a down sort of, you need to restore. Like coffee enemas are my go-to. And then I started being like, okay, I really need to get in touch with my anger in the liver. And if you lay there very silently on your right side with no distractions, you're not holding your phone, you're not scrolling, you're not doing all that stuff, you will have memories surface, similar to when you're like driving alone on a walk in the shower. Like that same thing's going to happen with a coffee enema. But what happens when you do it to the body versus like when you're in the shower, like the vibration of the water and the silence and all that like does also present an opportunity. It's like interesting. I used to work with this environmental medicine provider, and she'd always say, oh, she gets all her revelations in the shower. And I do that as well. But I get real creative after coffee enemas. The thing about coffee enemas is that you like it's like nature's Adderall, not because you're jittery, but because you have clarity. Like your clarity is insane. Like
you're actually not jittery after a coffee enema at all.
Not at all. Like, and if you are, you need to neuroprompt yourself into safety to release, or you're having some kind of control, which is like probably one of the tools that you can help them with. But it's like, you shouldn't be really jittery, or you might be rushed or stressed. But yeah, so I use coffee enemas now as a big tool, as one of the only tools. Like I don't take supplements. I don't prescribe supplements in my offers. I have all minerals and coffee enemas, and they are a game changer for forgiveness work. So when something comes up, you go like, okay, Jesus obviously wanted me to release that. I was holding that in my body, and now I can let it go. Letting it go is a choice, you know, and that's the thing. But when you operate like that, you're giving yourself a gift. Like your blood then can go be clean and purified and all of that. Like your body will, like you'll close down your tabs, your body will be okay. Like that's the thing. And sometimes you get like revelation that you need to make life changes. And that's the biggest thing. Like I'm like, and people are scared of that kind of stuff. But if you're going to do real holistics, you have to be prepared for real holistics. Like you can't out biohack the truth. You know?
Well, yeah. I mean, holistic means your whole life, the mind, body, spirit. But a lot of people interpret it as just using natural supplements and cold plunging and, you know, all of the biohacks. And I've gotten so much more out of just coffee enemas. Forget the rest of the biohacks.
Same. Oh my gosh, me too. And had you told me, I could share like so many testimonials, and I'm sure you can too. I mean, had you told me that 2.5 years ago, I would have been like, oh, whatever. But I was still in that pill for an ill mentality. I was doing them like, all right, like, where's my detox? You know what I mean? Like, okay, I hope my body's good. And then I got into like the forgiveness pathway, and everything to me now is a pathway to renew the mind. So if you're going to put something in the body, if you're going to do a fast, if you're going to do a therapy, you're opening a pathway for mind renewal. That's the point. And so if you can do 1 million coffee enemas, I see this all the time, and get not shit results, you'll still feel crap. I mean, I have clients come to me, they'll be like, I do coffee enemas, I don't have any results. I'm like, are you renewing the mind? No. Okay. Well, that's your problem. That's what you're missing.
Yeah, you're disconnected from it. Okay. Yep. So thank you for that, because I think that's really nice to hear from another person, not just me, and why I talk about them so much. So if we could like just give people 1 to 3 like starting points for like implementing something that changes you and changes your reaction in the context of like a high conflict, chaotic dynamic, where would you suggest women start?
Well, when something happens, straight away address it with yourself, right? Like straight away. Don't let things be like, okay, like if something really weird goes down with my ex, I'm like, all right, we're doing a coffee enema like right now. Like and it's a good thing where if you look at your life and you don't have the space for processing, that's also an amazing thing to be aware of. Do you know what I mean? Because that used to happen for me. It would be like, wow, I actually am kind of busy and chaotic. Wow, I'm actually addicted to like this. Like I didn't have the space for that. Whereas, and me and my husband now reset that entire dynamic. Like I'm like, you can have the kids when I'm like wanting to do some healing, and vice versa. Like I'll do that for you. So that was like a game changer for us. So like everything, there's revelation there. Second thing, I mean, I kind of talked about it, but you need to see something with neutrality. Like you need to access God's neutral in something like that's, and the only way to do that is to find it fascinating and like be in what I call curiosity, awe, and wonder. From the place of curiosity, awe, and wonder, you're asking a question, an open-ended question. From the place of judgment, mad, anger, shame, blame, whatever, you're making a decision. So you're playing like judge and jury there, right? Because and you have to tell yourself, like, you genuinely do not know. Like, so when my ex called child services, I mean, I could guess, but I genuinely did not really 100% know the motivation. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you cannot gaslight yourself. Like, I think that's like the biggest thing is people will start gaslighting themselves or creating scenarios to survive. Like, that's actually what the brain is good at. But if you stay in curiosity, awe, and wonder, you're actually open to receiving what God has for you in it. You're not closed in judgment and shame and blame and all that stuff, because that's where you start to get in that weird cycle of like always missing out, right? Or always playing the victim. Like, that is like the biggest tactic that has helped me. And the other thing is, I mean, and this is like kind of all emotional work. I mean, I'm just quick to forgive now, like, because I've seen the fruit of it. I mean, I've seen the fruit of being so quick to forgive. Like, I mean, my ex could probably slap me in the face and I would be like, that was wild. Like, I'm so quick to forgive now just because I'm like, move on, move on, move on. Like, keep it moving. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want the energetic drawdown, you know? Like, I mean, no, also, in case he ever hears this or somebody else, he's never slapped me in his life. So he's not violent. I'm not making I'm just saying some things have felt like that before, but he probably could do that. And I would be like, whatever. Like, and what's been really interesting is I've been able to see, like, there was a friendliness there that I genuinely kind of miss. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I try to like test it out and see if we're there. And then I'm like, well, we're not. So but it would be so nice because genuinely, like, that, it's like you said, Maura, that was there before. Do you know what I mean? Like, it would be nice if that was there. Like, I have tried to like see if that role happens, but it's always a hard no. Which is fine. Mostly when his mom or wife's around. I think if they weren't around, we would be fine, but whatever. Who knows? But that, and then just like, I mean, quick to forgive, finding everything fascinating, and then just genuinely, like, I always like ask myself, I'm like, I'm just like, I just don't let my ex distract me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I'm on a mission. I don't get distracted very easily. Like, I'm like, I used to get distracted and let it suck me into this vortex where, like, okay, like suddenly a month went by and you're like, dang it, I didn't even do my thing today. You know what I mean? And now I'm just like, and nothing falls apart for me. You know what I mean? Like, I think you've got to get really good at that. And that's part of that moving on. That's like the second part is like, I'm like, his stuff doesn't even matter to me because, like, I got a mission and it doesn't involve him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's none of my business is like such a freeing mantra to repeat to myself. Like, that person just did that. It's none of my business why. Like, if you can skip responding at all, that's the gold. But, you know, do the minimum that you have to and get.
Oh my God, you're so right. Like, skipping responding, like, do not engage, like, opt out of one fight at a time. Like, I have I would have an offer around this, to be honest. I have friends who send me their screenshots with their exes all the freaking time. Like, that's just like my thing. I should also be like a divorce advocate, but I'm like, I don't want that heavy energy all the time. But like, they'll send me them and I'll be like, you said 200 wasted words here. Like,
right.
Like, I'm like, a simple, like, not today would have been just sufficient. It's like, we don't have to be like, because, like, engagement is like a you problem, right? Like, I'm like, with people, you can't ask open-ended questions because they're going to spin you up into a conversation. You have to ask yes or no questions, which they will never answer because they hate that so that they can lie and get out of that. So they'll never answer that. So you just stick to that. And I just, if that is not working, I will just repeat. Like, if my ex said something to me that's like, and he's trying to say like, well, this one time in 1987 or blah, 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 blah. I'll be like, what time are you coming to get the kids? What time are you coming to get the kids? What time are you coming to get the kids? Like, what did you wear today? What did you wear today? Like, and eventually it's just like, stop talking, right? Because that's the thing is like, you can't like, there are some things that you want to collaborate on. But if in the back of your mind, the truth is this person's not interested in collaborating, let me just say one thing too before we wrap this up is like every day, every single day, my door is open because I'm that forgiving of it for collaboration. Like if my ex came to me and showed the fruit of the spirit, I would welcome it with absolute loving arms. I'd be like, woohoo. Like if I saw that the narcissism and all that was over, I would be like, abso-freaking-lutely, let's go. Let's be best friends. Let's raise these kids. Like without a doubt. So if you don't feel that way, you're the punisher. You're the stressor. You need to evaluate your own self. Do you know what I mean? So that's like, I genuinely feel that. Like, it's like, I used to say, I'll never speak to my ex again unless Jesus Christ himself lands on the ground and tells me it's time. I'm like, ew.
Drives me over there.
Oh my God, I sounded so bad. I'm like, it was so bad. And now I'm like, you know what? Every single day I'm like, open door. But I judge by the fruit of the spirit, not my fruit, their fruit. Like, I'm like, so if I say like, hey, so-and-so's leaving school and the fruit is like, well, they never go to school at your house, or like, yeah, well, we need to talk about that. I think no fruit. We can start back over again tomorrow. You know what I mean?
I absolutely love it. Well, like one of the things that I do kind of teach women is like simple conversation. Simple. You're not teaching. He's a grown-ass man. You don't need to teach him. If your advice, if your perspective, if those things are valuable, don't just give it away. Don't just throw your pearls before swine. Keep it to yourself. If he is, like save it for the person who you actually have a respectful relationship with.
Yes.
Great. Otherwise, just like one word, one sentence, 2 sentences, not done. Like you're not going to teach him anything. You're not.
That's really interesting. I mean, my ex might hear this, but I do feel like recently we've like reconnected a little bit since like the back and forth home thing, and the kids kind of like ditched both of us for an extended period of time. It's like we have that in common now. So in a weird way, like we're kind of like, I wouldn't say we're deep, but we're more connected than we have been over the years. And like, it's so funny, but my posture with him now is like, so he, as a mom, you always want to share your perspective because you're the mom, right? Like that's such a natural thing to want to do. Like when my kids were like hurting, I would be like, as a mom, but you're so right in what you're saying, Maura, that's just teaching, preaching. Like if somebody doesn't like you, they just are perceiving it like that. Like, so I would be like, no matter what I say, he hates it anyway. So whatever. And like, I don't need to like mommy him, but in the interest of like boundaries, if there are things that you'd love to open up about that, the way to keep yourself sort of energetically clean and not disappointed is like now, like I will genuinely ask, like when my ex was pretty torn up about our son, like he was like, I'm just looking to see if you have any ideas. And I was like, are you open to hearing what I have to say? And he was like, yeah, I'd actually love it. Follow-up question, are you open to hearing it my way? And that was a no. So ask me if I delivered the message. Nope.
Because you literally asked that question and he said no.
Yeah. Like he said,
which is funny. Like, how are you supposed to deliver it?
He came to me and said, I genuinely want to hear your perspective. And because I want to know if there's fruit of the spirit, I said back to him, okay, are you sure you're open to hearing that? Because I have a lot of thoughts and I would love to tell you. And he said, yes, that's why he said, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have reached out unless I wanted to hear it. And I said, okay, well, just, do you want to go to lunch? Like, I think it would be great if we could get lunch together. Haven't done that in 12 years, you guys. And I mean, not even been in the same freaking sentence, And he said, sure, that'd be great. And then 3 days later, I have a new job, won't work with my work schedule. Blah, blah, blah. Why don't we just start this over text messages? And I just said, I'm not interested in that. And then the argument got turned around where I wasn't conversating and helping, right? Because that's what happens when you put down boundaries. And I just kept saying, whenever you want to go to lunch and you can clear your schedule, let me know. whenever you want to go to lunch, you can clear your schedule. Let me know. Didn't care about any of the other stuff. And he's like, well, I was sleeping with my son, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, I get that. Whenever you want to go to lunch, let me know.
Yeah.
We still haven't gone to lunch. And it's not a power play like he's positioning it. It's not that. And I finally just said to him, he just said, I'm following your lead here, but you won't respond. And I said, I don't trust you. I don't want to text you. And I've asked you to go to lunch. So until you want to do that, like, we don't have anything else to talk about.
Well, yeah, he's not following your lead.
Right. So anyway, I don't think people are usually that clear about what's going to work for them. But you got to keep in mind, when you're in a high conflict situation, you get a voice in it. Mm-hmm. Like, like, a relationship is two ways. Like, I can't just call Maura and she'd be like, come do a podcast with me. And I'm like, well, fine. Like, you better make it work on Tuesday at 11 or else you're out. Like, that's so shitty, right? No one would ever be friends. So it's not any different with your ex, you know? It's like, I'm still a person. I'm still a person who has needs and trusts and all that stuff. And, you know, and he was like, well, I figured text would be better because this is so funny. Talk about revelation of method. He's like, I figured text would be better because it's so easy to twist words when you're around somebody. And I was like, oh, interesting.
It is easy, especially when you practice that a lot.
It's bad because we're both in sales. We were both trained by AT&T. We're both high level people. Like, we're both the zodiac signs that are like the highest and the most self-centered. So what's so funny is I'm like, well, dang it. Like, we were never aligned to begin with, but that's what happens when you're on birth control and you're all jacked up. Do you know what I mean? So genuinely, y'all can rabbit hole that, but that's literally what happened. Like, we have these beautiful kids and I'm so grateful for my kids, but we were never gonna make it. Someone would have died. Like, literally. Like, I'm just like, someone would not have, we would not have met. And that's definitely not a threat. That's like, that is for sure. We just weren't aligned. And so if you're not even step further, again, study who you are, right? Study who you are, because I know who I am now. I know I was not aligned there. I know that I can offer something. Like, I know that I can't be wordsmithed around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, you're right.
I think this is a beautiful place to like start, like, know who you are and you can't be wordsmithed around. So unless you have any final thoughts, I think we can wrap up.
I'm good. I'm excited. I'll send you this recording and link. And then, yeah, I'm pumped for your group. I hope that they all like get and take away and get really good sleep and good healing and all that good stuff.
Yes. I mean, I had so many people who are so excited for this conversation. So I can't wait to be sharing this with everybody.
Sweet. Okay. Well, we can start sharing the link and then I'm going to send you over. I'll drop the recording in our Google Drive. I'm going to end the live stream there. I just love you so much. I'm so happy for your offer and how you're helping women.
Thank you.
You're like
thanks
one
for
of the
joining.
strongest mamas I know.
Oh, thanks. Same.
All right. I'm going to end.
Okay.
End live.